If I have to name one thing that is the greatest thing about living in Thailand, it would be hi, this is James, the real Thailander, and in this episode, I'm going to try to do something a bit different. If you've been watching this channel, you would realize my tendency to talk about things that are darker, a bit more pessimistic. I like to talk about dark sides of Thailand. I like to talk about the things I wish could see improve in Thailand. It's a bit more on the pessimistic side. And today I'm going to do something a bit different because I turned 41 recently. I thought to myself, okay, I've been here for 40 years, minus the 1 year when I lived abroad. I thought, okay, there are so many great things about Thailand too. But what if I have to name a single thing that I'm the most grateful for, apart from my parents, of course? What would I say would be the top of the top thing that I'm the most grateful for about living in Thailand? And I've come to this realization that if I have to name one thing that is the greatest thing about living in Thailand, it would be how easy it is for your nervous system, and in this case, my nervous system. And I didn't come to this very easily, because there were so many great things about living in Thailand, of course. This realization comes from being able to travel to many places, being able to live abroad. What I realized when I am in Thailand is that it feels so easy to just go out there on the street without having to fear that the random attack, whether verbally or physically, could take place. And as a man as well, any time of the day that you go outside, I would say that 99.99% of the time, you should be safe. For women, I think there are a little bit more concerns, but from what I've heard from my female friends who've lived in other places, they still feel that Thailand is rather safe, very safe. But don't get me wrong, when it comes to this perception of safety, I'm talking about safety from harm caused by other people. Whether, somebody is trying to snatch your stuff, steal your belongings, or harming you verbally or physically. I'm not talking about the safety that comes with the infrastructure in Thailand. What I can say is that I think the infrastructure in Thailand is still lacking in some way. So some accidents could still be prone to happen. There are still people who get electrocuted on the street. Traffic accidents are quite frequent here. Actually, the death that is caused by road accidents are very high here in Thailand. And there's still a chance that you would just, walk on the street and fall into this sewage hole randomly. That is still something that happens from time to time. But when it comes to your personal safety that could be jeopardized by other people, I would say, unless you have personal enemies, unless you have some personal conflicts with people, the chances that random occasions when someone would attack you would be very low. The first time when I traveled abroad, I came across this new concept that not everywhere you go in a city or in a country is safe. When I was telling my friend that I was going to the US for a week, a friend of mine told me that, okay, so you go there, but try to avoid these and these neighborhoods. And I remember that I was a bit surprised about that. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because I've watched many American movies, but I'm still surprised. I was still surprised because in Thailand, this concept that certain neighborhoods are safer than the other is not that prominent. Let's talk about Bangkok. Let's talk about Chiang Mai. I think most of the places that you go, you could feel safe. I guess unless it's a dark place and then you were a single woman, I think you should apply precaution to it. But you never have to apply the precaution the same way that people that live in, let's say, South Africa has to apply if you live in Johannesburg, I know that you have to plan your trip during the day. You would be trying to avoid a certain area at nighttime or during the daytime, for instance. In Thailand, Thai people feel very safe about going anywhere at any time. I just want to add that I was wrong. I forgot to mention that there are some areas in Thailand that could be dangerous, especially in the border towns where there are still conflicts between Thailand and some neighboring countries. I just have to mention that. When you go and sit in a cafe or restaurants, you can put stuff on the table without having to fear that someone would just snatch them away from you. I think the chances of that happening are so rare. In fact, one time I dropped my wallet without knowing in a shopping mall in Bangkok. I went to Lost and Found. Turns out someone has found my wallet and already reported it. So I was like, wow, this was so nice. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I think I'm still surprised every time that this kind of thing happens. But it's not just the safety of your belongings that we were talking about here. We are also talking about the sense of safety for your physical and mental well-being as well when you live here. When it comes to random strangers, that's what I meant. So let's just say that one time during Halloween in the UK, I was dressing up as a cat. I remember that I got harassed by random drunk men on the street in London just because I dress up as a cat. In Thailand, you can dress as flamboyant, as eccentric as you can be, and most people would just not bat an eye. I think sometimes people might had a smile at the corner of their mouth or giggle or laugh, but people tend to not make any harsh or critical comments about people that look and sound different, at least not in front of their face. I think Thai people seem to mind their own business in that sense. Not to say that they won't gossip about that behind their back, but just in front of them, people would just leave people be. This is not to say, though, that verbal bullying doesn't take place in Thailand. It does, but it often takes place among people that are in the same circle, people that know one another. You would hear a lot of friends who make fun of the other friends' weight loss or gain or the change of your skin color, for instance. If anything, sometimes people can be harsher to the people inside of their family. For example, when people ask me if Thai people, especially older people, would be homophobic, I would say usually they aren't. But when it comes to their own kids, when it comes to their sons and daughters being gay, you could tell that there are actually a number of homophobic parents. You would still come across a lot of Thai people that aren't out of the closet because they live in this don't ask and don't tell policy. So yeah, that thing still happen. But I guess the point of this episode is about having this sense of safety in your life that's to do with whether or not you feel safe out there on the street. And I think Thailand has that in abundance. I think a lot of this happens probably because of the influence of Buddhism. And I'm not a promoter of any religion, but I could say that I feel grateful for the fact that most of the Thai people are Buddhist. Probably one of the strengths of Buddhism is that it's more of a philosophy than a religion itself. Buddhism to Thai people means many different things, of course, but I think the core of Buddhism it's about your personal, individual action because action creates reactions and nobody could fix your wrongdoing. You can't repent. It's all about your own responsibility when it comes to what you are doing. Okay, so here I am interrupting myself again, but this idea just came to me while I was editing this video. You know what makes Thailand interesting is that while it is a collectivistic society in the way that people like to be together, people like to work together, people like to live in, big family with a big circle group of friends. It has Buddhism as its main religion, and Buddhism's highest aim is an individual pursuit. So Buddhism highest aim is enlightenment, and you can't make other people enlightened for them. Each one of us has to do our own work. And it's not like other religions where you are trying to get people, as many people to the kingdom of heaven as much as possible. In Buddhism, you just have to do your own work. And so I think you can see this how, let's say, like on the street, for example, I think the reason why people don't make comments when people act bonkers or when people may act super eccentric or whatever is that people just think, okay, it's none of my business. My work is to do the best in this life, take good actions. I mean, you can't repent as well as Buddhist. So you just stay at your own lane as long as the other person doesn't do harm to you or doesn't harm kids or men or women, then that it's fine. And I think maybe this is probably the key things that is intrinsic in people's mind that at the end of the day, you should be responsible for your own actions. And for a weird reason, I think with so many things that happen in the world right now, I feel grateful for the fact that I could go out there and feel safe from other people most of the time. People in the world should feel this way anyway. But I think right now, a lot of people in so many places in the world don't feel that. And I'm just grateful for the fact that I could feel this in Thailand. And I'm sure that if you have lived here, then you would have been benefited by how easy it is for your nervous system here as well. And if you plan to move to Thailand, then this may be one of the things that would help convince you moving here sooner. Thank you for watching. Please click like or subscribe if you like this content. This episode is a bit different from other episodes. It's just me chatting about things. I will see you in the next episode. I hope you have a wonderful weekend or week, depending on when you're watching this. Bye.